Yes, all right. We are back with yet another podcast from the IPEN 2016. And I have my great friend and honor to introduce Molly, who's also certified in positive psychology from the Whole Being Institute.
That's right.
And so welcome, Molly.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So just, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you came here, what's going on, and then we'll just talk.
Okay, that sounds good. So I'm Molly, and I was a high school Spanish teacher for 15 years. And when I did the positive psychology program, the SIP with the Whole Being Institute, my whole world exploded, and I started incorporating little bits and pieces of the positive psychology to my students in the classroom. And they loved it so much, and I was so enthusiastic about it. And they said, "Don't you have something we could have?" And so I said, "Okay, I'll create a book." And so I have written, this is the second edition. We did a pilot version of Youth Positive, exploring, how does it go? It's a long title.
It's okay.
Exploring the unique genius of every 21st century adolescent. And so we did a pilot program in 2 high schools and a middle school.
Oh, wow.
And so this new edition is the result of that, with a bunch of comments from the teachers, a lot of input and feedback from the students. And so it's all spruced up and cleaned up. And then the middle school students were using the high school version, and it was a little too advanced for their level. And so I created a middle school edition, and it's more activity based. It's kind of like the High Life magazine. I don't know if you remember that magazine. Mm-hmm. So there's, they're still young, so there's just fun activities, and it's more pictures. The readings are short, a lot of very personal questions about where you are personally, what are you doing, what are your strengths, what are your values, who are you as a person, and what is really unique and fun about you.
Wonderful. So I think this really, actually I had a lot of folks, friends, and people who attended my workshops asking me about parenting, about what can we do to bring this to the kids. And I was, many times I said, I'm really not expert on the kids. I do have a number of colleagues, and when I go to IPEN, then I'm going to try to bring some of those folks who are the experts.
Okay.
So let's think about, so this is specific for schools?
Yes.
I mean, so you teach the teachers what to do with
Yeah,
kids?
I have a teacher workshop, and this year I worked individually with the teachers. We had one of the high schools did it as a mentor program, so I worked individually with that teacher. The middle school had a team of 5 teachers, and so we did some trainings with them. And then the other middle school, I did trainings with the principal and the teacher. And so the teachers would take it into the students, and it's designed to be used as a curriculum in the classroom, full year, meeting 2 or 3 times a week, 4 or 5 times a week, however the schedule works. And a student can use it on their own and just work through it individually. So it can be totally self-guided.
Okay.
And it can be used in the classroom and be open to classroom discussions, more in-depth information on the research if the teacher has time to do a research inquiry, and the kids can be involved that way. I've had some parents do it because they want to know what their kids are doing.
So you're taking my question. It's exactly what I'm thinking. Can we go and help these folks directly if they're not teachers? What can we? That's awesome. Yeah, tell me more.
And so it's really fun because I met a parent just recently, and her children, she has 2 high school kids, and they go to one of the private high schools in our town. Mm-hmm. And we're scheduling a parent meeting where each of the parents will have their own book, and then we'll do kind of like a book club every month.
Okay.
And so the students are doing it at school. The parents know where they are. They have a common language, so when they get home, they interface. Parents know what students are doing. Students have language to talk to parents, build communication skills. I think it's really important that what we learn through positive psychology affecting students in school doesn't stay at school. It has to come home. It has to come home and be the main relationship of a child's life, that home. And so to have the parents use it is spectacular.
Yeah, I think that it resonates with another message that we heard today, which is, it's one thing that we do it in school, but we have to do it at home, right?
Yeah,
You're basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't just isolate. This is not school exercise. This is a life exercise for
That's
family,
right. And it's so fun. In the middle school version, at the very beginning, it says, youth positive is not school. I don't know where that is, but yeah. And so they learn it at school.
Okay.
But that's where we teach children knowledge.
Right.
But it's not school. It's real life. It's who they are. It's their interaction with their family on a daily basis, their friends. When they get to that high school level and they start working and they have a boss, it's those relationships where they really interact and make a difference.
Right. But that's so, I mean, I'm so glad to see that programs like this are going to the schools, because what do we teach them? We teach them skills, but we don't teach them character strength. We don't teach them life. We don't teach them to be good people, right?
That's right.
And we heard that today again in another presentation where, I think Marty Seligman was saying last night that, when he was asked, or in the small workshop that they did, and the question was, what do we teach kids? What do we want our kids to be? And then, the answers may be happy and this and that. And then the next question was, in one or two words, say, what do we teach in school today? And there's a gap. We don't teach them these things.
We don't teach them this. Yeah. And so that's a big part of the reason that these two books ended up as real objects that students use as their tool, is that my students would ask me, what are we really doing? And as a language teacher, I had maybe more opportunity than some of the other core subject teachers, because language creates our world. And so being the language teacher, I would share with them, this is the history of the Spanish language. What are you learning in your cultures class? What are you learning in your world history class? Oh, look, here was a really famous scientist that made some big discoveries in the Spanish culture. What are you learning in your science class? So it's through language that we create our culture, and then we can bridge. And so when I started teaching them positive psychology, it connected the dots of, well, why do I have to study math if I'm going to go be a gardener? Or if I want to do agriculture, well, why do I need math? Or, it's hard at that age to make the connections between all their subject areas. And positive psychology does that because it teaches them who they are as their foundation.
So that's actually a great question. So when they ask that question, why do I need to study math if I'm going to become journalist? What's the answer?
I tell them, the more information that you can put your fingers on, even if it doesn't resonate with you, you have exposure to it. And at some point along the way, you most likely will have exposure to it again as an adult. And so when you just have just a touch of it as a young person, it plants a seed, and you might not use it during the next 5 years, but who knows down the road that you won't end up starting your own business and have to keep your books. And so now you need math. And so you can reconnect to what at one point was a seed and now is turning into a plant. Oh, I have my own business. I have to do my books. I need math.
Yeah, good point. That's really great. Is there something that, and I'm sure that's really how this whole thing started, right? Is there something that parents, folks who have kids and watching this maybe there's like one exercise that you can share, something they can do with the kids?
Yeah, there's a really fun one. It's in both books, but it's really fun in the middle school version because it's more playful, more engaging with the pictures and the colors, and it's a gratitude letter. And we learn in positive psychology that gratitude is, I tagged it in here, the number one virtue. It wins the best prize, the blue ribbon, gratitude. Because when we express gratitude, we know there's so many things that we are grateful for in our life, but gratitude makes us aware. It helps us be aware of all those people who help us. It helps us be aware of all the blessings that we already enjoy. We come back into the present moment and see all of the good things that already exist. And as we learn in positive psychology, when we appreciate the good appreciates. And so this is a really fun one, and I used it this year with some students and they loved it. And it's just, it's in the book. It's a little page that has lined note paper where they think of somebody who has had an impact on them and how that, and maybe even just small ways, has affected who they are, has helped them change and grow, left a lasting impression. And so as a family, it could be a really fun activity to sit down and talk about who people are grateful for and then write those gratitude letters together. And, when we share those moments with the family, it offers a peek into each individual family member. So we get to know each other a little bit better as family members.
That's good. I'm glad you're doing this, and I think this will be a really great exercise for kids. I actually did this, years ago, and I wrote a gratitude letter to my wife, and this was like part of when I did the program, I don't know, 6 years ago or so, and it was really amazing. You sit down and you read that letter, and you see tears, and you see love and compassion and kindness, and it's really like that one little letter can really improve the relationships.
Yeah.
So this would be, if the kids are doing this, is who they're grateful for, right? Somebody could be in the family,
Correct. Family or a teacher, or maybe not even anyone else that the family knows.
Friends.
Or
And then would they write this together and maybe come and read the letter to the friend?
They could. So there's been research done on the gratitude letter. And just writing it is often enough to create more harmony with the family. And it doesn't necessarily have to be to the family. Mm-hmm. If you mail the letter, it can be extra powerful. And oftentimes, not always, but the person to whom you write will call up or send you a response. And then it just builds that connection and that positivity resonance, as Barbara Fredrickson terms love, And there is a third option, is to take the letter and to actually read it to the person. And for teenagers, that might be a little nervous making, but also for that relationship. So if I were writing a letter to Braco, I would read this: "Dear Braco, I am so grateful for." And so as you read that, you look into this person's eyes and you really develop a connection. And it creates that unique bond of friendship and love. And so that could be a very powerful way to use this letter as well.
Nice. So actually I would, since I'm really big on, action and making a change in our life, and not just learning is a great, knowledge that you're getting is great, but making action. So why don't we now, have everybody, take this action, write in gratitude. Even if you are not parent, right? Even if you are not, doesn't matter. Just write a gratitude letter, pick someone you're grateful for, write a letter. You can, as Molly said, even just write it, leave it as is. You can mail it or you can deliver it and personally read it if it's possible. And we certainly recommend to write gratitude letter for someone who's still alive, right? You might be grateful for other folks. And so that's one thing. And then if you are a parent, why don't you sit down and find a way to recommend this to your child to write a gratitude letter, or maybe you can help him or her. So make an action, make this something that
do it. Put it into practice. And that's the neat thing about the way the program is designed, that it is the concept. It explains why gratitude, what it does, how it affects us. But the most important part is now do something with it. And so in both of the books, the middle school is a little bit more geared that way naturally. In the high school version, they have the concept, and then there's the personal experiment. So it's always asking the student to do something with the knowledge. Knowledge by itself isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. Applied knowledge equals transformation. And so as we put the practices in, then we see the change. And the changes happen quickly. And then we're motivated to do more because we feel good. We feel it. Only when we do it.
Right, that's so true. Are these books available to purchase, or is it mostly goes to schools?
Oh, they are available for purchase for a household, for schools. I'm doing a 4-H program this fall with this. And so they're available through my website, which is youthpositive.net. And I have the order form right up there. You can order and I'll ship them right out to you, to your home, to your school, wherever.
Great. And would you recommend again, parents can take it, or do you think somebody, and I'm serious, somebody like myself, right, who teaches positive psychology, but I'm not an expert on the kids, but I would like at some point because I know a lot of parents who take in my workshop, they're going to say, well, can we do this with our kids? Is there something that I can take and, take some of these exercises from your work and then deliver it to families and kids?
Yeah, and the easy thing about it is it's self-directing.
Okay.
So you don't need a teacher's manual, you don't need to be a teacher.
Okay.
If you just open to the page, find the beginning of the section, and it'll just give you, okay, this one, it's a diagram. It's how to check in on certain areas of your life. It tells you easily what it is. And then the personal experiment will give you the instruction.
Perfect.
And so it doesn't need a teacher facilitator guide. Even a student, any level. I have 6th grade students that are working personally by themselves
Wow.
through the middle school version. They're in 6th grade and they're doing it alone and they're loving it.
I think that's really important because, again, we've heard a lot about what's happening in schools, but I want to make this actionable. You know, if this is not happening in your school, there's not much you can do with this information.
That's right.
So what can you do with the information to make
and you
it
can
action?
take it home. You can do it at home. You can get it for your student for back to school present. Look at how fun this is. Look at these colors. Oh, look, there's even a just for fun maze where you help to find the mouse find his cheese.
That's pretty cool.
So,
I think I'm going to play that one.
fun.
I think I'm going to play the mouse find cheese tonight. Is there one thing, and there's a lot, but is there one thing that maybe we picked up today? And it's funny, I was saying the other, when I was doing the other discussion, you know, that we picked up in the last 28 days. This day and a half or almost 2 days seem like forever, right?
big deal.
There's so much going on here at the conference, and we try to bring, you know, to our friends as much as we can. Is there like one thing that kind of resonated with you that you wanted to share with the positive education or anything else?
There is one thing, and it's a quote that I heard a while back, but in Dr. Seligman's presentation last night, it really brought it to my mind and what we just talked about, that we have to apply the material. And it teaches us that we become kind by being kind. We become compassionate by being compassionate. We become good listeners by listening well. And so in order to be whatever it is that we want to be, I want to be smart. I practice that by studying. I want to be kind. I be kind. So whatever quality or characteristic it is that we're seeking, we become that by being that.
That's awesome.
And so we have to do it. We have to do it.
I love it. And I think just to add to that, as a parents, you know, we have to do it first if we expect our kids to be that, right?
Isn't that right?
We can't tell them what to do, but we got to be an example. If we want them to be kind, we got to be kind. You know, today, actually, and thanks for pointing out, you just reminded me. So today, my wife said there was a Sir Anthony gave a talk, right?
Oh, fabulous.
And my wife said she saw him in a hallway today, this morning, and he was thanking a cleaning lady, right? So, and I didn't even think, but today, as I was leaving the room, I saw cleaning lady, and I said, thank you so much for all your work. And then when I left, I realized that what triggered, I try to be kind, right? But like, I don't thank cleaning ladies all the time unless they come to the room, right? So what triggered that kindness from Sir Anthony came to me, and I hope, you know, we just have this ripple effect and bring more kindness.
And especially with kids, they learn by example.
That's it. Molly, thank you so much. I hope this will be wonderful for folks listening, and the tools that you share with us that they can really apply immediately with the kids and or as a teacher.
Thanks.
Pleasure talking.
So
Thank you so much.
fun.
Thank you.